I knew that I could not fail. If I believed, would the wind always fill up my sail?
Hello, and welcome to Wake Up with Wendy, Discover the Magic of You. My name is Wendy Kaplan. We're going to do something a little bit different on our show again today, following on the theme of women telling their stories. Over the last few months, we've had women come on our show and tell their story and talk about their journey, their signature story. A signature story is a story that's defining you in some part of your life in some way at the moment. It could be something personal or professional. We all have signature stories, things that are going on in our lives, and the things become a problem when we feel stuck, or that somehow our belief about that thing is running a part of our life instead of us controlling it. So today we have another great guest with us who is coming to talk about her challenge with our audience. And you can follow her and help all of our guests as they blog about their struggles and their successes on our website, themagicparties.com. And as we have done for the past few months, we have our panel of girlfriends who are also experts in the field of healing and of the body, mind, and spirit, as well as the area of personal transformation. Melanie Holden, owner of Physica Center for Healing and Education, and Mel is a physical therapist and a Reiki master and a craniosacral therapist. And Kate Harper, to my right. Kate is a master certified coach, and her business is Kate Harper Coaching, and Kate's specialty is inspiring people, and her main work is personal and business coaching. And then there's me. I'm a master certified coach and business executive, and I own Vision Quest Consulting, which is a boutique consulting firm specializing in developing leadership talent in organizations. I'm also the founder of the Magic Parties, which is an organization to help women shine through the magic of girlfriends. And our great, lovely girlfriend guest today, Cindy Loughran. Cindy's going to share her story with us about her challenge with fear and how she thinks and sometimes holds herself back because she's afraid. And our panel is going to see how we might support her and, of course, love her because we're girlfriends. So you might be someone watching today who has or knows someone who has a similar story to Cindy's. Or maybe you might want to send some encouragement her way or ideas to help her. And you'll be able to view and share Cindy's story and comment to her on our blog at themagicparties.com. So here we are. So this isn't a cheerful story in some ways, right, for you, this fear thing?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So why don't you just start us off and we'll see where we go.
Well, you know, I never would have said that fear was the thing that stopped me, but what I started noticing is I'd have all these great ideas and I would never do anything with them, and I felt as if I would run into a brick wall going 70 miles an hour, and I couldn't figure out why I kept getting stopped and stuck. And so I'll give you an example. You know, I started a business about 2 years ago, New Leaf Touchstone.
I was going to say, let's put a plug in for your business.
Yeah,
you want to
we'll
say
plug
what
in for my business. www.newleaftouchstone.com.
Yeah, definitely.
And the business was an offshoot of my coaching practice, which I had been doing. And for probably 2 years, I kept saying to friends, I have an idea. And I'd explain the idea, and people would say, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And I would never do anything. And I was too scared. I was afraid it was a stupid idea. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do it. I was afraid because I didn't know how to do it. I was really afraid other people would think it was like I was wacko. And so finally I said it to a friend of mine. I had said it to periodically for 2 years, and she looked at me and she said, stop. You've been talking about this for 2 years now. Either do something about it or stop talking about it.
I know, that's the kind of girlfriend you need
And that's the
sometimes.
kind of girlfriend you
The ones who are willing to make you feel a little uncomfortable, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
And
But she was right.
Yeah, and that was like a turning point for you.
Well, that was a point of, you know, when you hear something like that, or when I heard something like that, and I was sort of taken up, and I started thinking about how often I do that. How often I talk about doing something, I intend to do something, I get excited about doing something, And then I have this whole script, this whole file cabinet of reasons why not. And they all, it turns out, are based in fear. It's
Right. So to just stick a big fat label on that filing cabinet drawer, fear.
like, shut up.
If I open this,
burn
that's
it.
all I'm going to
That's
get
all
is
I'm gonna
fear.
get.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. So I started to just take baby steps,
Yeah.
Baby
like
steps.
baby steps. So part of the business was designing bracelets. I didn't know how to design bracelets, and so people would say to me, so what, you don't know how to design bracelets, you can learn. So the first thing that shows up is, well, I'm afraid to look stupid. I'm afraid to ask
to
for
be a learner.
help. Yeah.
Yeah. To be a
Yeah.
beginner at something.
Because all my life, I think what was valued in my family was being smart, knowing how to do things, not necessarily needing help.
How could you ever learn to do something new though, right?
Well,
Because when you learn anything new, we stink in the
Yeah.
beginning because we're not
Yeah.
confident, right?
well, I know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I was feeling stuck in a lot of places for that very reason, because I wouldn't allow myself to be vulnerable. I wouldn't allow myself to feel that fear. And so
I wonder if you're being hard on yourself. So I'm just going to say this. So I knew you when you started your coaching business.
yeah,
Right in the beginning.
Yeah.
You didn't know anything about coaching at all.
I think I thought I did.
Really? You've never been in. I'm going to push back on you. You were never in business for yourself.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was.
You worked for
'Cause
another
I had
organization.
done training. No, I had done training. I had been in business for myself.
what do I know?
But I played small. I played small because I was afraid. And then when I wanted to switch to coaching, which is how you and I met,
Right.
I thought it was an easy transfer. I thought it was easy
Yeah.
to transfer from. So
You took some skills. that you
So I
had.
took skills
Right.
with me, but what's interesting is about what you said is that I've learned that it's not the fear and having the fear that's the problem. In fact, having some fear is a really good thing.
Right.
It's that when fear runs you, you don't learn. When you think you already know everything and you think you have to prove that you already know everything, because otherwise it's too scary, that's the problem. So probably I wasn't as good a coach as I could have been early on
then.
and have become,
Right.
because I was too afraid to admit what I didn't know.
Well, you said something before.
I mean, I
so
know that now, but
you said I didn't allow myself to feel the fear. I didn't. So because that feels like really different to me than I'm afraid, I play small, to even to taking a baby step, something about almost like, okay, acknowledging, okay, I'm afraid and I'm still gonna go
right.
or not.
Well, I think what I used to do is just run away from it.
Ah.
Okay, I feel fear, I'll go do something else. I won't do it.
All right. Well, you didn't.
And so I avoided fear by not doing it. But then I had a whole other set of problems, which was I was really disappointed in myself, and I recognized I felt like I was living in a very small box.
Because you never did any of the things that you were thinking about.
Yeah,
and
because I had all
wishing.
these really big ideas, and I kept running into walls with them.
So you didn't do that with this bracelet business.
Yeah.
Because now you have a bracelet business.
Now I have a bracelet business.
Yeah.
And
a,
even
and a change business. It's really not a bracelet
Right,
business.
it's
You know,
true.
it's really a transformation using the bracelets
Bracelets.
as a tool
Yes.
business. But
And even those 2 years, you didn't run away from it. You didn't do anything about it, but it kept coming up.
yeah,
It kept
Oh,
every.
It
you
wouldn't
know,
let you run away
it wouldn't
from
let
it.
you run away.
Really?
it had me. It
That's one of
definitely-
those
yeah.
things that I would call a calling.
No, I was just thinking
It
about
keeps
that.
it calls you. It keeps calling you out of that fear place until someone says, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know.
I wish one of us had said, "Hey, get started or shut up," because I liked that. That's
Yeah.
what girlfriends do for each other,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
Right.
really, I say to my clients because I really am a believer in support, that you can't do anything bold by yourself. You just can't. And you need support, and
agree
you
with
need
that.
friends. And I say, but pick your friends carefully.
That's so true.
Because there are people who we call our friends who will jump into the trench with you and say, "Oh yeah, it is too bad. Yeah, you should be scared.
You should be
That's
really
terrible
scared of
thing."
that.
And you know what it leaves you is feeling really good about being scared. And when you wake up in the morning, you're still stuck. And that the friends that you need to have in some areas. I mean, sometimes you need to have somebody just.
You know, you're asking for permission
But
here, right?
yeah,
Just keep
yeah.
poking
No,
at
I
it.
am asking permission because what you really need is someone to say, "I get that you're scared. Thanks for sharing. Go do it."
Right.
And not hop into the pity party with you.
Yes.
And that's scary too. I mean,
So we talked about this as we were starting the show, how I had a coach in the early days that said, if your knees aren't shaking a little with whatever it is that you're doing, you're not playing big enough.
yeah.
Or you're not doing something that you really meant to do. If you're not a little, I'm trying not to overuse the word scared or frightened or fear, but that you're not feeling a little uncomfortable. And so the way now, on a good day, when I'm feeling very uncomfortable, in a good moment, I'll say, "Oh, it's good. I must be learning something. There's something new here."
Yeah.
So it's a better frame than, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm
Right.
not, whatever, I'm not.
And surrendering to it is
Yeah.
Right, and choosing your girlfriends, I think Wendy has been that for me. That you model for me the ability to say, "Oh, great," okay, or, another word, "I'm afraid and I'm stuck," but to be able to see beyond that, say, "Okay, that's where I am right now, and now what? What's next?
Right.
Well, we also
And
give
how
each
do I
other
get there?"
permission. So
Yeah.
this is so for all of us. We have permission to be in each other's faces in a loving way. Don't you think?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you don't do that with just anybody. And in fact, you can't really hear it from anybody.
Right. It's true.
Right. So
That's true.
there are times when one of you will say something to me and I'll say, "Oh yeah, that's absolutely right." And then I'll go home and tell my husband, and he'll say, "I've been saying that to you for years. How come you didn't listen to me?"
Yeah.
Well, maybe I wasn't ready to hear it, but
Well, and it's funny because I've had that happen to me with you guys, and I've gone home and said to my husband, "This is what she said," and he's like, "She said that to you?"
like it was kind
I
of
can't
mean.
believe she said that to you. Like it was mean, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, isn't that great?" Because it's
couldn't get
what
away
moved me,
with
but
it,
he couldn't get. So that's kind of funny.
Well, and don't you think that something that's in that is sort of a fundamental love and acceptance of each other? And because when we were out talking and I was telling you that I have this great thing I want to offer and I'm not doing it, and you were saying, let's look at that fear, and I'm saying,
Right.
they're going to put an ad in the Boston Globe if I go to a company and say, I've got this great program,
Right.
they're going to put an ad in the Boston Globe saying, Kate Harbour's a jerk,
Right.
And of course, that's not going to happen. And you didn't, though, just say, Kate, do it anyway. You said, well,
Right.
let's pick this apart a little bit. Right. What's the thing that you're afraid of that you actually can do something about? Like, I'm afraid I don't articulate the offer very well in the client's language. And you said, yeah, you don't. Oh, okay, I don't.
I mean, I know what they do, and I didn't understand what you were talking about.
But you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
And that was a great. I mean, because fundamentally I knew that you loved and accepted me even when you were saying, right, you should be afraid of that. You don't do that yet. You don't do that yet.
Yeah. Well, what I have found in my work is that, and I think that's why the reason I notice it in my work is because whatever I'm facing in my life tends to show up in my clients and vice versa.
Yes,
so that I was hearing over and over and over again, I'm afraid to do that because I'm afraid. And so
your clients were saying
my
to
clients
you,
would
"I'm
say,
afraid to
I'd
do
say,
this."
well, why are you stuck on that? Well, I'm afraid. What's your biggest fear about that? And we're all afraid. We're afraid of something, and so for too many of us, we're afraid we're going to look stupid. We're afraid someone isn't going to like us if we do that. We're afraid we're going to fail. We're afraid we're going to succeed. So it's what I said to you is, okay, if we can zero in on what it is we're afraid of, then there's something to do about it. And fear you know, as I'm sort of, I sort of have gotten into this habit of when I have a recurring theme, I started to become a student of the theme. So
Good for you.
you know, when change was the theme, and I've sort of
Right.
become this student of change.
Right, now
and
you're
I
in a
understand
business
the
of
change,
change.
and now my whole
And
business.
a teacher of change.
And a teacher
Right.
of change.
It's always
my whole
both.
business is about
Right.
change. And so what I know about fear is that when we're in fear, we're either in the past or we're in the future. So,
Because in the moment you don't have fear?
well, because
Well,
where
unless
does,
the tigers
where
go
if
back to
there's a
eat you.
saber-toothed tiger right in front of you,
Right.
you
But
know,
usually
or a
that's
car
not the
coming,
case.
but there
right.
isn't usually real imminent danger,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so when we go to fear, think about it. We're either thinking about an occurrence in the past and
Right.
how it went,
Right.
and we're having a memory from the past
Right.
that creates fear, what our father said, our mother said, our, you know, the
Or what they will
if
say.
if the dog is in front of us and the dog isn't biting us,
Right.
but we're afraid of dogs, it's because we've had some bad experience in the past.
Right.
Exactly.
Right? Or we're anticipating in the future what somebody will say in the future, what will happen
Right.
in the future if something doesn't happen. But in the present, there is no real fear. Now, there's imagined fear. There is imagined fear, and our physiology does the same thing, whether it's real or imagined. But in the moment,
Right.
there's something we can do about it, which is why when I said to you, Kate, okay, so you're afraid that they'll laugh at you, put the ad in the Globe, and that was the future. So what's causing the fear was something that you could do something about,
Which gives you a little more
which
power
gives you
and
power
control.
over it.
Right, and it
And
does
it gives you
bring
the baby
you back
step that you can take.
All right.
into the present
Yeah.
too.
So let's make this a little more present for all of us. I don't know if we'll have fun doing this or this will be torture, but let's just play for a second. So what's something we're each afraid of?
I'm afraid that I'm going to be wrong. And
About what?
wrong
About
in-
what?
Yeah, wrong in a really big way. That the way I've looked at life and decided it works, right? that's all wrong. And so here I am teaching all this, you know, about spirituality, about how it really works, you know? And what if I'm wrong?
Okay, and so what if you are wrong? What's the worst thing that would happen if you were wrong?
I guess I say I'm sorry, you know? Really, I mean,
Okay,
what
so-
my imagination says is, oh, this whole structure I've built comes crumbling down. My life's work is about nothing. People,
Really? You
I've
think
sent
about
people
that?
off in different directions. Right now, I'm thinking about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's true right now? Are you
Right now,
doing
it's
a service
true.
to people?
Right now, I'm having a ball. I'm just having fun with my
Okay.
girlfriends, and yeah, and they'll take away what works for them and give away what doesn't.
Okay.
You
Which
need
I
to have
guess
one of
is-
Cindy's bracelets so you could
I
help.
know. Turn over that leaf. Yep.
Turn over a new
Turn
leaf.
over a new leaf.
Yeah. So
Change that
that's
thought. So when you start
interesting.
to have that, I mean, that is one of
Yeah.
the things, you know,
Go for it.
Well, you know, for a lot of people, when you get thinking about what is it I'm afraid of and how do I need to reframe it,
Mm-hmm.
you really, when you have that trigger of the fear, the bracelet
Reminds you.
says, okay, remember, reframe that, because that really isn't so true.
Right.
But getting back to
And you
what
can
were
buy
saying-
those bracelets
Right,
on
and
newleaftouchstone.com.
they have a little leaf, a turn over a new leaf. So when you want to change your thought, you just
turn over
you
a new
turn
leaf.
it
You
over.
turn over a new leaf, and you
they're
charge it and
beautiful.
so forth. Thank you, thank you. But back to you. I want to talk about. I want to talk
It's
about.
all about you.
All of
So
it. Wait a
what-
second.
But if it's all wrong, and what you're giving women that is of value today, that value will disintegrate.
Right, it won't.
Well, you
It
could
won't
use
go
us
away.
as an example because we've all come to you for the work that you do.
Right.
Right? Okay, so what if you were all wrong? What do you
Right,
say about
and,
us?
And actually, this. I say you're all great, but actually, the
Will that
story.
change?
The
Will we
story. You will
evaporate?
not change. The story is always changing. That what I knew, 10 years ago, I don't say anymore. That's been modified, but it helped where I was at, and it helped whoever I was working with in that moment in time.
See, that's
So,
the present thing.
so it's
It's
the
also
being
faith, I
comfortable at
think.
change thing.
Faith.
I do too.
I was just thinking
Yeah.
about faith when you said
Yeah.
that, that our ideas and what we do and how we say and whatever we say, it comes from somewhere. I
It
don't know.
does.
That I believe there are no accidents and no, coincidences don't surprise me anymore. There are no accidents. And so, You know, it's no accident that you and I met. My doctor sent me to you for a knee problem, and that was, you know, I don't know, 11, 12 years ago. And having you in my life has been one of the greatest gifts. And so what if you were wrong about something? I'm doing okay, and I'll keep coming back for the next version. Because you'll keep getting better as we get more experienced or more knowledge or, I don't know. So I have faith in you.
Thank you. Thanks.
One of the other things that is, you know, I don't mean it to this is going to sound awful, but, you know, we're really not all that important.
That's so true.
That is so true.
You know what?
Oh, no, wait. No. That's exactly the opposite of what I was going to say.
Oh.
Because my sense is a lot of time when I'm in fear, it's because I've got something I care about how people see me. So if I'm in fear that, oh, they're not going to like me, they're going to say I'm a jerk, that what I've associated with this is the very small part of me, which is my work or how I talk about what I do, and that what I actually haven't done is associated with a much broader perspective of me that is much more timeless and so and when Mel said that I thought
But I understand what you're
I
saying.
meant what I meant was for you. Okay.
no one would
So,
ever put an ad in the
they're
Globe
going to waste their
about-
time and their money. I mean, I love you dearly, but I'm not going to waste my money putting an ad in the paper about you. It's just not that important to me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm not going to go smear your name and your reputation.
She was saying something different 10
all
years
over
ago.
the country.
Right.
It's just, we're not that important.
Yeah,
and
that's
we're
right.
very important. I don't mean it like,
Well-
but the rest of the world,
It's
just
true.
isn't
Right.
going to spend that much time. But I worry the same thing. I have this fear. I think I disappointed some people last weekend, and I'm totally convinced that they're all walking around because I changed my plans about something, and I'm sure they're all now walking around talking about me, and you know I'm like off the list. And I'll never be invited. And I'm sure I'm like blacklisted from this whole social group, and they're talking about me. And then I stop and I think to myself, I hope that they've got more going on in their life than talking about me. But we have that, and you know, it's this buzz that's going on in my head.
Yeah, I think it's really important when you're going through all this to be able to distinguish the fear file, right, from the this is reality file.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the conversations that are going on, and choose the conversations that
It's
support
easy to do
us.
that when you're like in a thoughtful, you know, when you remove this
Absolutely.
situation.
When you're
but
totally
in it.
emotional.
All right, you got anything? You got any fear thing you want to talk about?
Well, I've already talked about mine.
Yeah,
I mean,
how
which
about
is
you?
so. Let's go, Wendy.
Yeah.
What about you?
Wise one.
Because I see you often as a person who says, "Hey, I want to do that," and just goes and does it.
Oh, it's true that my husband calls it ready, fire, oops, aim. Oh, that didn't work.
Yeah.
So there's always a little bit of mess to clean up behind me. But I think, well, I could use this TV show because it's the only thing I can think of quickly to use as an example. So we're using this new model, this girlfriend model, because we thought the other was, yeah, we could spice it up a little, I think is the best way to say it. And although the other shows were great, we've been doing it for a year, and it was sort of time to do something else. And so we're experimenting. So I'm a little I'm not really afraid. I wouldn't use that word. For me, that I don't use that word very often. Yeah. I don't know why, but I am conscious or concerned, watchful that this turns out, that you know it matters. I want to make a difference in the world, and so whenever I do something work related, it's not quite the same personally, but anything work related, I feel like if it doesn't make a difference, and I don't know sometimes how I even know that, and what's a big enough difference anyway? Making a change in one person's life, you say one little thing to somebody, and they go, "Oh that changed my whole perspective on something," and that could be enough. You know, how many people's lives do you have to change in order to feel sufficient?
Well, Wendy, when we were talking yesterday, you shared with me that when you first started the Magic Parties business.
Oh yeah, I forgot that story.
Yeah, it was a great example.
That's true. So it wasn't that I was afraid, but my whole family dissed me.
And you were afraid that people were going to think it was weird.
Well, that's true. I had forgotten that then. So I went into same as you. I went into a totally different line of work, and I thought I would do that solely for a living and drop my other consulting business, which was 20 years old, which I did not do, which was very smart for lots of reasons. And so I told my family, we're sitting around the dinner table, my entire family, it was my dad's birthday, and I said, I'm going into a new line of work, I'm calling it the Magic Parties. And they looked at me like I was a Martian. And they all laughed hysterically. And I thought, oh, you laugh now, you just wait and see. But I do remember, even at my neighborhood, we have an annual barbecue, and it was at my house that year. And some woman said, so you're doing something a little different for work? I said, yeah, I don't talk about it very much. She says, why aren't you talking about it? I said, well, it's just this little thing that I'm doing to help women. I don't know why I said little thing, but I said, I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about it. And she said, well, tell me about it. So I said whatever I said about Magic Parties, that we help women. And she said, why are you not talking about that? That is fabulous. And I thought, I don't know, why aren't I talking about it? So.
And why weren't you?
I think I was thinking people would see me as unprofessional, that it was an unprofessional thing to do.
So I would translate that to, I was afraid of what people would think.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's, you know, it's not
Do
necessarily.
all our fears fit into like
I'm
several
wondering.
little categories?
Well, I don't know. I never
Something
thought
for your
about it.
blog.
Yeah.
Oh, good,
I don't
because you're going to
know.
be blogging.
Right.
Yeah.
You can muse about that
You
later.
get fear. I mean, I'd love to find out, what are people afraid of? I think so many people are afraid what other people will think.
I think that's right, and how we look.
And how we look, and you know, like,
It's all
who
self-esteem.
cares?
Right.
Who
I'm going to remind you of that
cares?
next time you get
Well,
blogged.
do.
Right, like, nobody
So-
cares.
Do.
I have a burning question that's been sitting through this whole thing. Tell me about the moment that you went from telling your friends about it to having that conversation with your friend to then moving into action. You talked about baby steps. What were the feelings that you had to overcome?
And you really have one
how did you
sentence
overcome?
to share it in, because we're
Okay.
done with time.
You know what? I think that the bottom line answer is, I just said, you know, the fear is fine and it's not going away, just do it anyway. And it was just take baby steps and feel, you know, the whole line, feel the fear and do it anyway. And just keep doing it. And as I did that, things just started rolling, and it sort of took on a life of its own. And then things started happening very easily and serendipitously. And
One step at a time, not too big, something that doesn't make you shake too much.
lots of support,
Lots of
lots
support.
of girlfriends
And
around.
acknowledge
So
the fear.
thanks.
And just have the fear and do it. Yeah, you know, have the. I'm not an advocate of getting rid of the fear. I think fear is really good.
And we're done with time for today, so that's a perfect note to end on. So you just got a chance to hear Cindy's story, and we had to cut her off because time's up. But I'm hoping it gave you some kind of inspiration and maybe even ignited you into some action. And so now what do you do next? Well, if you watched the show all the way through, it must have had some meaning for you that helped you look at something you might explore further. And in this case, you might want to ask yourself the question, what would I do if I were brave? And what could be one baby step I could take? So here are some suggestions to get you started. One, you can go online to our website and give Cindy some support, because she's going to be blogging, and comment on our blog, and she will read your comments and get inspiration and resources and ideas. Number two, you can go online to our website for some free support and inspiration. And if you are a woman, 3, listening in our audience today and not too far from Andover, Massachusetts, you can join us for Girls' Night Out gatherings, conversations for women that matter. And the next one is September 15th at 7 o'clock at night. And it's an evening with other women who are at a crossroad in their lives and trying to find out and figure out what to do about it. Our website again is themagicparties.com, where you will find all the resources you need. And a big thank you to our guest Cindy for being so brave to be here and talk about fear and to share her story for all of us to hear, and our panel of girlfriends and experts, Melanie and Kate, and to Matt and our production crew, Joe, Brian, and Regina, and Kevin, our favorite intern, who makes our show possible. And thanks to you, our listeners. You are meant to go forth in the world to use your gifts and talents and have a little fun exploring what's next inside of you, waiting to
would
burst
I
forth.
do
And join us
if
next
I
time
knew
as we continue to
that I
help you
could
discover
not
the magic in you. Thanks for watching.
If I believed, would the wind always fill up my sail?